In 1916, the United States said goodbye to a standardized design that had graced our silver coinage for 24 years. The Barber series of coins had been a workhorse of the United States economy, but it was to be swept aside by new designs, part of an artistic renaissance of American coinage. Today, we will examine the smallest, but arguably the most collectible and beautiful of these designs, the Mercury dime. Before we talk about the Mercury dime itself, we first must talk about the man behind the design. Born on December 11, 1870, in Dreusheim, Germany, a small town near the French border, Adolf Wertgerner immigrated to the United States with his widowed mother at the age of 10, sometime in 1880 or 1881. Like so many immigrants of the time, his name was changed to something more agreeable to American ears: Weinman. Biographical information for his early life is scant, with not much written about him until 1885, the year he began studying at the Cooper Union, or, as it is formally known, the Cooper Union for the Advancement of Science and Art in New York City. The Cooper Union has a story that could fill a video of its own, so for now, let's get a quick summary. Established in 1859 by Peter Cooper on the model of École Polytechnique in Paris, Cooper's fundamental belief was that higher education should, quote, be accessible to those who qualify, independent of their race, religion, sex, or societal status, and should be open and free to all. The budding young sculptor was under the tutelage of none other than Augustus St. Gaudens, a legendary figure we'll explore in a later episode. Weinman would go on to be an assistant for some of the most legendary and well-celebrated American sculptors of the 20th century, including Charles Niehaus, Olin Werner, and Daniel Chester French. In 1904, Weinman opened his own studio. The scope of Weinman's work was nothing less than extraordinary. Even hitting the highlights is a real challenge. Weinman often described himself as an architectural sculptor, leaving his mark on some of the most iconic buildings in the United States, including the original Penn Station and the Jefferson Memorial. In the closing days of 1915, Mint Director Woolley invited three noted sculptors, Herman A. McNeil, Alban Polisk, and Adolf A. Weinman, all of New York City, to prepare designs for 3 silver coins. The Barber design was approaching 25 years of production, and the Mint and Department of the Treasury were free to change the design of coinage due to an 1890 law, and clearly they were keen to move on from the, quote, Barber design. It appears each sculptor submitted multiple designs. Whether the intention was for one design for each sculptor to be picked for one denomination is unclear. What is clear is that Weinman's design were so well received that his designs were chosen for the dime and for the $50, another coin for another video. Weinman's design features the female personification of liberty wearing a winged cap on the obverse. The misnomer that the figure is that of the Roman god Mercury seems to have taken hold very early, and for better or worse, has completely stuck with a near universal acceptance of the name, the Mercury dime. According to Weinman himself, the winged cap upon Liberty's head was a representation of freedom of thought. This makes the reverse all the more interesting in our contemporary eyes, as it depicts the fasces, the ancient Roman symbol of authority, which famously is the root word for fascism. Benito Mussolini would infamously use the symbol of the fasces on the flag of the National Fascist Party in 1919. While it is not known for sure, it is widely believed and even broadly accepted that Weinman based his portrait of liberty upon Elise Cotchel Stevens, the wife of American poet Wallace Stevens. The Stevens were tenants of Weinman, and in 1913 he sculpted a bust of the strikingly beautiful Mrs. Stevens. For whatever reason, the manufacture of dies for the new design were greatly delayed, and the old Barber design was in production for the majority of 1916. The design was met with great excitement from the public and numismatists alike. W. Scott of New York City, one of the outstanding numismatists of the day, pronounced the new dime the best piece of work the United States Mint has turned out in over a century. While the coinage designs of Weinman were indeed still and highly are celebrated, Weinman seems to have been incredibly nonchalant, if not even a little hostile to his contribution to American numismatics. According to a well-known anecdote by his son, Robert, himself an accomplished sculptor and artist, quote, One of Dad's students said he had studied with Adolf A. Wyman, the medalist. When he heard about it, he was furious. "Medalist," he thundered. "God damn it, I'm no medalist." Wyman also apparently never bothered to keep any examples of his celebrated coins. According to his son, upon the elder Wyman's death, quote, "We found a couple of vertigrized 50-cent pieces in one of the desk drawers at his studio, but that was about it." Wyman would go on to sculpt many more outstanding pieces that are today scattered throughout the country. He died at the age of 81 in Port Chester, New York, on August 8, 1951. As for the Mercury dime, it would see its end at the tail of 1945. After a 29-year run, the design was replaced with the image of President Roosevelt, who, after leading the free world through World War II, died while in office in 1945. Now that the story's behind us, it's time to talk about collecting Mercury dimes. For most of the series, production of the branch mints at Denver and San Francisco were less than 10 million pieces a year. Outputs were higher at the Philadelphia Mint, but exceeded 100 million only 5 times. The key date to the series is the infamous Denver issue of 1916. With an incredibly small mintage of 264,000 pieces, it is one of the lowest mintage coins struck for circulation in all of the 20th century. The Denver Mint was ordered to suspend production of dimes in 1916 to focus on quarter production, which is why the mintage is so extraordinarily low. The 1916 D is oftentimes the coin that stops the completion of a full year in mint set. An AG3 coin will set the collector back at least $550. While coins are easily available, the competition is fierce. Many collectors that don't have the over $1,000 to spend for the coin will instead purchase problem coins. Buying 1916 Ds raw is not recommended for the novice collector because of the rarity of this issue. It is highly targeted for count. There exist 2 semi-key dates in the series, the 1921 and 1921 D. With mintages of 1.2 million and 1.1 million, they are scarce but easily found. Starting at $60 and below for good 4 coins, they are accessible for the new and budget-minded collector, but skyrocket to triple and quadruple digits in the high circulated and uncirculated grades. While there are other better dates with mintages below 2 million, none are a hurdle to collectors. During the war years, mintages exploded to as high as 205.4 million in 1942 at the Philadelphia Mint. Gem uncirculated coins from these years can be had for as little as $20. Only a few significant varieties exist for collectors. The infamous 1942/41 is a dramatic example of an overdate that can be spotted with the naked eye, and it commands a significant premium. A much more common and accessible variety is the 1945 Micro S, which demonstrates a much smaller than usual mint mark. A nice, almost uncirculated example can be had for as little as $30. Another popular way for the novice collector to collect Mercury dimes is with a war year short set. Consisting of only 15 coins, all the coins can be had in gem uncirculated condition in third-party holders for less than $100 a coin. Ask any collector in the United States and many will tell you they started their collecting journey with a Whitman folder of Mercury dimes. While a favorite for the novice collector, the series is also a favorite of advanced collectors, seeking to put together a high-grade set. Advanced collectors can become downright fanatical when searching for coins with exceptionally full strikes, represented by full split bands on the fastkeys. Both PCGS and NGC recognize this designation with full bands and full split bands, respectively. The Mercury dime is a truly classic American design. Since the public first got a glimpse of the coin, it has been incredibly popular, and in the 21st century, it shows no sign of losing any of that popularity.